He played Karaoke. His rating was higher, but from move 17, the king's side was mine. Took my chances fast. My rook was a knife, and my almighty queen, a beast on each six.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ladies' Night, the official podcast of U.S. Chess Women. I'm your host, Jennifer Shahade, and you are listening to the artist Huga of hugamusica.com. And that is a song that certainly captured my heart. Oh, Capablanca. And oh, what a season it's been for chess.
With no time pressure, I'd crush him once and for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ladies' Night. Tonight, my guest is Jennifer Yu, our new U.S. Women's Chess Champion. So excited to have you on the show, Jen. It's been about a week since you won the U.S. Women's Championship. How are you feeling?
It's still crazy because everyone's so congratulating me. I've been a bit drowned in schoolwork and all this stuff yet, but I'm really excited to go play chess again.
What was it like the first day? Because I remember you guys left the closing ceremony and a lot of you were just going to school the very next morning. What was that experience like?
Sometimes I just feel like I wish I had like a week after a tournament just to recover and just to relax. So it was really crazy because after I went back to school, everyone knew about it and was congratulating me. And then I started to focus on making up all my schoolwork. So it was just like a rush of things.
Was there a party for you when you came back to school?
No, but some random teacher that I didn't even have put up like a little poster congratulating me. So it was, and then my friend wrote a story in the school newspaper. So it was just, there wasn't a party, but everyone knew.
Did a lot of your friends and your teachers at school, do they also play chess? Like, did they follow your games?
Yeah, actually, I had a few teachers that talked about my games or something, and I was just like, wow, I had no idea that you were following it, which is really cool. And I have a few of my friends who apparently were watching one of my games on YouTube, and I was just like, and they were asking me about it, which was so cool.
Which game was that?
It was my game against Emily. Actually, I forgot who posted it, but they were watching it, and apparently they sent in some group chat, so a bunch of them watched it.
That's so awesome. Were there any other kind of congratulations or because you got so many? I'm sure you got hundreds of congratulatory notes, but were there any that were particularly meaningful?
It's hard to just pick out a few because they were all really nice. But Robert Hess, who was the coach at Olympiad, he sent me a really nice note just congratulating me and then telling me how like my potential and how like this isn't it, how much further I can go and just working, and how he was very proud of me, and that really meant a lot to me. Actually, at the closing ceremony, Sam Shanklin also congratulated me and was just telling me how he didn't think like this was it, how I have a lot more to play for. So just like a lot, I mean, from all of these great chess players, and it feels really good.
Yeah. I saw a tweet also. I know you're not on Twitter. You're on Instagram, by the way, everybody. She has a new Instagram account, Jennifer Yu Chess, right?
Yes.
Jennifer Yu Chess. That's how you can follow her on Instagram. You're not on Twitter, but Robert Hess, Grandmaster Robert Hess, who's also your coach at the Olympiad, he wrote something so awesome about you that a lot of people, when they saw your bronze medal performance in the Batumi Olympiad, knew that you played a mean game of chess. But not everybody knew about your work ethic, your determination, and your passion for the game. So he was always also very public about his praise for you. And what was it like working with Robert at the Olympiad? What's his coaching style like?
So at the Olympiad, it was Robert and Milik there, and I think they did like a combined, because mostly it was, I feel, opening prep at the Olympiad for me. So they did like a combined, I don't know, but I really liked the openings and things that they picked out, and because it worked really well for me, and I was really prepared into every game, and they were really supportive and trying not to put any pressure on me. Just that even though as the tournament progressed, it got more and more intense because we started to play on like the top boards, and we faced like the strongest teams like India, China, and all that. But they're always really good at not putting that much pressure on me, even though I play like every game, and just told me just to go out and play my best game.
Well, it certainly showed in your results, and it must have been a really incredible experience playing in your first Olympiad. What was the highlight of it for you?
Well, I mean, when I went to the Olympiad, it was just so cool to see all these like gods at chess just like playing just a few feet away. Just all these super grandmasters that I've only seen like pictures and like videos, but they were like in person. So that was one of the coolest parts for me. And also, I mean, on the team itself, we have like Caruana and like Nakamura, like all of them. So it was just so cool being in the vicinity of these great players.
I know when we asked you on the U.S. Championship broadcast, you said that Magnus Carlsen was one of your favorite players. Was there anybody else at the Olympiad that it was like really cool to meet?
Well, I didn't really get to talk to that many of these players, but I mean, I rode an elevator with Sergei Karyakin, though. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he knew who I was, but I just thought that was really funny.
Now he does. I guarantee it. So I want to go back to the World Youth in 2014 where you won a gold medal. That was the one that you went 10 out of 11, right?
Yeah.
Which is, of course, a foreshadowing of your U.S. Women's Championship result 5 years later, where you also went 10 out of 11. And you also won your last game despite having already clinched the title. How do you get that? Where does that come from?
Even though, like, the pressure is off, like, technically because you already have it clinched, I feel like going into the last round, especially at U.S. Women's, I felt like I had more pressure in that last round game than my game against Anna because I felt like, I already won this tournament. Like, I can't just, like, I have to still give it my all during my last game. Otherwise, I just feel like it's not fair for, like, all the other players or fair for, like, the fans. So I just feel like, or fair for me, I guess, in a way. So I just wanted to, even though it's technically supposed to be less pressure, it just, there's some different kind of pressure to it.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I guess now, of course, when you're in your final game against Carissa, you have all these new fans who realize that you're the new U.S. Women's Champion, the first teenager to win since 2000. So they're looking at your game. Is that the type of pressure you mean?
Yeah, something like that. And I guess it's just like another expectation now. I found that if I go into tournaments without setting super high expectations for myself, I usually do better. Like, it's a weird psychology thing, but if I ever if I have too high expectations on myself, I put too much pressure, and I always end up, I don't know, managing my time horribly or something. Like, a great example of this was actually my first U.S. Championship in 2015, because that year I was a wild card because I won the World Youth the year before, 2014. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and then never been in that kind of tournament before where there was so much, such high coverage and such high prestige, and there was cameras everywhere, and I was just so nervous in every single game. I remember because I spent so much time just checking over my moves. Like, I'd calculate a variation, and I'd check it maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 times just to make sure that I make a mistake. So in the beginning, I wasn't playing my first game, I remember, against Anna Sharovich, and she made a few interesting sacrifices, and they weren't completely sound, so I got a small advantage. But then I just used all my time, ran out, and then just like threw away my advantage slowly just because of time. So that was just, and then the rest of the tournament was just, it just got worse and worse because I don't know, I guess the pressure, or I wasn't playing my best, definitely.
I guess that's the thing about time pressure and double checking your analysis. They kind of definitely go hand in hand, if you, especially triple, quadruple, and 5x checking your analysis. What was your most memorable or favorite game from the U.S. Women's?
I think it has to be my game against Anna in 10th round that clinched me the title.
Yeah, that was a great game. I mean, you also just played so confidently and so well, and it was able to get you the win around in advance. So what move in particular, is there like a particular move that you were proud of? Just the finale or?
No, I think I'm most proud of my decision to play knight c5, which was to complicate the game. Because I felt like if I didn't go there, it would be a game where it would be a two-result game where I'd just be playing for a draw because she's a really good player, especially in those kind of positions where she has like a small space advantage and just slowly squeezes the opponent. So I did not want to go into that kind of scenario. So I just went for the complications and it worked out.
It really worked out beautifully for you. I love that game as well. Now, you talked in your closing ceremony speech at the U.S. Women's Championship about your coach, some of your coaches. Larry Christensen, you mentioned. You also mentioned Boris Avruk, and there's one other player.
Yeah, and Janik Mentis Kosian.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. Yeah. And what can you say about what each of those coaches have taught you?
Every single time I go get a coach, the first thing, because back then my dad used to like talk to coaches, the first thing he would just like teach her an opening. So you can, if you look at my opening evolution throughout the years, you can see like it's very obvious when I was working with who. But each of them taught me different things and helped develop my style and just the way I play. A huge impact was through my openings because I never had a really good opening repertoire. Slowly, it's been building on and got a lot more diverse.
And who do you work with now in chess? Do you work with one of those players during the women's, or are you more working on your own these days?
For about the last year and a half, I've been working on my own.
Wow. And how do you, like, can you give me a breakdown of what you do? I mean, I know sometimes school gets really hectic probably, but when you do have time to study chess, what does it look like?
I like to actually right before the tournament, like for the first time in years, I set a little bit of a schedule for myself to follow. So I would try to finish all my school and work and all that stuff before like around 7:30ish, and then I just like take some time to do chess. So I'd read a few Agard books from his Grandmaster Preparation series because I mean they're the best. I really like them because they have positional play, strategic play. I do some puzzles from those. There was also an endgame book, so I would do that one too. But I actually wanted to put the most time into preparing openings for the tournament, but I didn't get to it I don't know why. I just didn't get to it. That was one reason why my nationals wasn't very good. My national high school is right before the U.S. Championship, but in the time between the national high school and the U.S. Championship, and since there was like only one round a day in the U.S. Championship, I managed to like get my openings together, and I felt like they were pretty good during the U.S. Championships.
Got it. And I also noticed that you play a lot of tactics and Puzzle Rush on chess.com. So was that part of your preparation as well?
It's not supposed to be. It's just my favorite part because like I've had a problem previous years. Well, actually, for most of my chess career, tactics is the main thing I do. So if you go on my chess.com, you'll see like how many tactics I've done. That's because like back I'm supposed to have a schedule, but then I always put way too much time in tactics. So I just forget to do other stuff. I only do tactics because I don't know. I just really enjoy doing it. And Puzzle Rush, I'm not that great at Puzzle Rush. And I just have like this obsession of trying to keep getting a higher score. So anytime that it looks like I'm not going to beat my old score, I just stop it and then start over again. So just like an insane number of times of Puzzle Rush on my chess.com. But yeah, it's not supposed to be the biggest part of my, because it's not a part of my chess that I really need to work on, because I think my tactics they don't really have a problem, but it's just something I really like doing.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, Puzzle Rush is fantastic. And I mean, just because you're good at them doesn't mean that you can't get even better.
Yeah.
What tips? Yeah, and that is interesting, though, that some people, they continue going on with their Puzzle Rush, even if they've gotten a one wrong kind of early, and they're very likely to like not beat their high score.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like you. If it doesn't look likely, I just quit usually. So I totally get that. And that said, it doesn't seem like you play a lot of Blitz online. Do you? Or Bughouse? It's more of the tactics online, right?
Yeah, I don't play too much chess online because it's something that I'm gonna work on because I need that practice more. But I've just never been that much of an online player, I guess.
You are a player for the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers, right?
Yeah. I played a few Pro Chess League matches for them this year.
So when you stop your school work at 7:30 and you start studying chess, you start with some aggro problems, and after you get a few of those right, then you turn on your puzzle rush, play a few puzzle rushes, and then go back to the classic studying. Am I getting somewhere here? Is this kind of what it looks like?
Well, ideally, yes, ideally, but the thing about puzzle rushes is extremely addicting. So I've had problems where I'm gonna just do like 2 puzzle rushes and then I do it for the rest of the night. So yeah, but ideally it would be something like that. Just read some books and then do some tactics for a break, take a small break, and then maybe work on openings or play a few games.
Got it. Yeah, yeah. But so some of the times it worked out, and then sometimes you just ended up playing tactics and puzzle rush only. But hey, I think that's like every good chess player. Like we have this like addictive side to our personality, which is probably one thing that makes you also really good, right?
Yeah, I guess you can see it like that.
I noticed that you wrote a few articles for Chess Summit a couple years ago, and one thing that struck me in one of them was that you said for players trying to get better, a lot of times they should be playing more rather than studying more. Can you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Yeah, so I think that the greatest way I improve at chess is if I just play more tournaments and play more games, because I guess that's actually the way that I first got I got better at chess, because when I first moved to Virginia from California, I think I was around 1400. And then when I moved here, my old coach back in California, he recommended my parents to just start playing more tournaments in this area. So I started playing more and more, and I actually got to 1900 from 1400 in around a year. So that got me to go to my first World Youth. So I think that the main reason I got my rating went up. I think the only way to really learn chess is you just constantly make the decisions and just test yourself over the board. And also, as you get to higher levels, I feel like I've learned a ton of openings at these kind of tournaments. I've learned so many openings at like Olympiad and actually at this U.S. Women's Tournament, because I was prepping and I was looking through so many different lines. Some I played, some I didn't play, but it really expanded my repertoire. So I think that you can also do that not at a tournament, but I feel like at a tournament, it's just kind of a different mindset. I just think that playing more chess, like real games, is just better than like playing against a computer or online or like reading books. Because there's nothing can really compare to just thinking over the board.
It's hard to simulate the real conditions of all that pressure that you're under, right? And the motivation that you have, as opposed to being alone in your room and trying to solve a position. As self-motivated as you are, it's not going to be quite the same as knowing that your own game is on the line.
Of course, it's still important to like constantly prepare at home and practice, but I think that can only get to a certain point, and then you just really have to go into the real situation. And yeah.
As I learned from your interviews with Mike Klein over on chess.com, you had a nearly perfect score in your SATs, and of course your U.S. Women's Championship score was almost perfect. So how do you advise other youngsters who want to combine academics and chess at a high level, besides your advice that they play a lot? Is there any like time management tricks that you have?
At school, there's always extra time at school, because sometimes teachers finish teaching earlier, or like there's time after tests or something. But if you can use that time, make use of that time, it helps a lot, because then there's less homework at home and you can work on that on chess, or you can actually just do chess in school, like not during like a class, because I've done that before and it's not good. It's not good for chess and it's not good for class. It's just good to focus in whatever situation you're in. But yeah, it's just time management takes practice, and to be honest, I'm not the greatest at it. I'm still working at it. I can still improve a lot, but I would say, yeah, just whenever you have a little bit of extra time that you don't know what to do with, I mean, extra time, you could always go to use.
So what do you mean that you could get even better at it? Because I mean, it also seems like you have a really great group of friends, both in chess and outside of chess. So it doesn't seem like your social life really suffers from these incredible achievements that you have in chess and academics. So that's like just yet another thing that you're balancing. Do you use any of these kind of apps that limit your screen time or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, basically that means I'm just on my phone a lot. There's like that iPhone app. I think that's just, it's not an app. It just gives you a report of your screen usage like throughout the week. And it just, every single time I get it, I just feel ashamed because I'm just like, I can't believe how much I've been on my phone. But yeah, sometimes I just delete like social media apps or just to force myself to focus on chess or school or both.
So you just delete them and then re-upload them when you've like finished whatever your goal is?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be this hard, but at some point I just feel kind of attached to it. It's just like, how can I delete this? Like everyone's on it. But you can't focus when you're constantly thinking about other stuff. And
did you delete any apps before the women's championship and the high school nationals?
I actually didn't this time because I thought I could control myself. I think I did all right, actually.
So you did pretty well, like your iPhone screen reports were lower than usual?
Yeah, especially at nationals. I don't think there's any time to just not be focused on chess because there's like 3 rounds a day on Saturday. And that was just, I mean, I haven't played a tournament like that in a while because it's just like, oh, I play a game. You have like a few minutes, just like eat, and then you can, I mean, prepping is really hard at nationals because a lot of the players don't have games in database. And so then it's just like me worried about, oh, I'm going to forget all my openings. So then I try to look at all my openings and then go into the next game. And then, so it's just kind of like a pattern. So I didn't really have to worry about using my phone too much during the nationals.
No, at the nationals, I was there as well at the girls club room and also doing some streaming for our Twitch channel. And you stopped by the girls club room briefly, but what you might not know is that we ended up getting a projector there and started projecting your games because you were, even though you say you didn't do well, I understand you wanted to win first place. Obviously, being a 2,400 plus player, that's what you wanted. I respect that, but at the same time, you were still on the top boards and the girls were all rooting for you. And there was one game we had up in this big projector, and like when you won, they started clapping. So
yeah, I remember when I was a little girl, and then I'd see these other girls, and it just like blow my mind. So I mean, I'm really happy that if I can like make an impact on other girls, because I hope that I do.
what were the women or older girls that when you were growing up that were doing really well and made you excited?
I mean, there were some I knew and some I didn't know. Like actually, I think maybe in like 2011-ish, around that time when I was like 8 or 9, I read this Chess Life magazine. And I just remember on the cover, I think it was Anna Zatonsky, actually. And it was like something about her. I don't remember which one this was, but it was like she won the women's championship that year. And then she won like how many. It was like there was like a headline. It was like there was like 100-something move game or something like that in there. And then it was just like she won the world championship in 100 or something like, I mean, not world championship, U.S. championship. And I just remember reading that, and it just blew my mind that like the U.S. championship. I mean, the entire concept of the U.S. championship was just so huge to me back then. I just didn't I couldn't comprehend actually playing in it or like definitely not winning it one day. But I've known a couple girls who were older than me at the time, and I just always looked up to them. Like they weren't like the highest rated players, but I just always admired them so much because of how they balanced school and how much they put into chess. And just these kind of players just impacted me a lot over the years.
Like anybody in particular you want to mention?
Yeah. Alice Dawn. I think she's I don't know if she's a junior or a senior in college, but she was back when I was like 12 or 13. I think we went to World Youth back when I was 11 in the World Youth in UAE, and she kind of like, because I remember on the rest day that we went to this Dubai together, and then she was so nice to me because I think she's 4 years older than me, and it was just and then I don't know, I just always admire her.
Oh yeah, she seems like a really cool person, and she runs a chess camp for girls, and I believe you coached at one of those, right?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. I mean, she does so much, but she runs chess camps for girls just like for a day, but they teach the girls and they give the girls a chess set and a shirt, and it's just such a great experience. But I think she held one over around this time last year in the Virginia area, and then so I helped volunteered and taught a little bit, but it was just such a great experience for the girls, and I really enjoyed it too.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be getting asked a lot more to do things like that, but it sounds like in this case, it was certainly also coming full circle for how she inspired you. I got a message from a chess mom whose daughter is a big fan of yours and predicted that you would win the U.S. Women's Championship before it started. Her name is Helene. And she was wondering about advice for breaking a downswing when you're not playing well towards the end of the tournament, kind of coming back and getting that motivation and good form back. Do you have any advice?
Well, that's actually funny because I think that's like the one thing I'm pretty proud of, like throughout chess. I've always been relatively good at coming back after horrible starts, because I just used to be my thing. Like every time I'd start the tournament horribly and then try to come back in the end, just finish strong. But I mean, I guess the main thing is just not to get psyched out, because it's so easy to just after a while just kind of give up and then just be like, what's the point? Block everything out and just go to each game. Sometimes you don't even need to do prep or any of that, because you just need to focus during the game. And then just don't think about anything other than the move that you want to make. Last year's tournament, U.S. Women's, was just like that, because I started out really horribly. I know I lost the first two games, and I just played absolutely horribly. So I should have lost those things. I played absolutely horribly, and I think for the first 5 rounds, I got like 1.5 out of 5. But then I just kind of just tried to forget about all of that and then come back. And then I think I finished the tournament pretty strong. I think like 5 out of 6 or something. So I was really close to getting an IM Nor, but I didn't. But I know that the game that turned it around for me was my game against Maggie Fon, who she also played this year. But in that game, I mean, it might look really weird to people looking at that game, because I played a really unorthodox opening with b4. But, I mean, the reason I played that was because, well, other than the fact that I just didn't want to go into a preparation of d4 and c4, it was just something that would take me completely out of this, just make me completely forget about, like, all the stress and all the disappointment of doing bad in the first few rounds, and just be like, it's completely new territory. So just pretend it's like a new tournament and it's a new game, a new tournament, new position.
That sounds like a great strategy, just like a breath of fresh air. Let's get this started. And you also won, besides the Women's Championship, of course, the huge title, you've also won several National Girls Tournament of Champion titles, including clear first in 2016 rather. You won the Virginia State Closed Championship, which was not at the time you didn't just become the youngest player to win, but you were also the first female to ever win it. So you really do have a lot of titles. Right now we have lots of wonderful, prestigious girls tournaments, from the National Girls Tournament of Champions to the U.S. Junior Girls to the Susan Polgar Invitational and the All Girls Nationals in Chicago. How do you feel about this great flowering of girls and women's chess? Do you think we're going in the right direction, or that girls should also be encouraged to play in mixed gender tournaments even more? Like, what's your basic thought on what direction we should be going with all that?
I just want to say, actually, it's funny because I played in every single one of those tournaments that you talked about, like all the national girls, all girls. I've actually played in all of those. But yeah, I think it's really important to have these just like girls exclusive tournaments, because it's especially at a young age, because for some, when you're like 8 or 9, sometimes it might be really intimidating to just play in a normal tournament where you're the only girl there. So when you go to a tournament where there's only girls, you just feel like a different kind of community. It's really wonderful that they have all of these tournaments all over the country, probably the world too. So, but I think at some point, you have to challenge yourself further and just go into the open tournaments and play anyone of any age or sex. There's just more players there, and it's just, I mean, if you look at like people like Judith Polgar, who just ended up not playing female tournaments and then playing just open tournaments, it just challenges you further and also to reach a higher potential than to limit yourself, because there's more players. But it's really important to get these to have these girls tournaments, to just give these younger girls interest and then make them feel supported, and then once they're interested, definitely go into open tournaments. I highly encourage it.
Yeah, definitely. Or do a mix of both, right? Like some people want to continue playing in those. And how about in your own career? Do you feel like now that you've won the ultimate women's title in America and all these other great titles that you've won, are you looking to play in even more overall titles, or are you interested in like winning the women's world championship? Like, where do your goals stand now?
Right now, well, one, I didn't really expect to win the women's championship, but now that I have, I'm definitely trying to challenge myself further. So I guess the next step would be trying to qualify for the U.S. Junior Championship, which it's so strong. I mean, it's like mostly GMs, 9Ms. So I really want to qualify for that. So I'm going to try to work hard. I don't know, this year probably, but like next year, definitely like I'm trying to get my rating and all that up. And also trying to get my titles, because I already have woman grandmaster, but I'm really close to international master, and I really want to go for a grandmaster before I graduate high school. That's definitely a huge goal and a really huge challenge, because I mean, it's not easy, definitely, but I definitely want to get those titles.
Sounds like right now a lot of your goals are more on the mixed gender end, because the grandmaster title, obviously you have to play against male and female players to get it, unless you played in something like the Karen's Cup where there's so many women in it that have the grandmaster title. You can kind of do both, right?
Yeah.
Did you follow the Karen's Cup, by the way?
I don't think I followed every round, but I followed some rounds, yes.
When we got asked in the commentary booth about whether or not a woman would qualify for the U.S. Championship, what I said was, if a woman qualifies for the U.S. Championship in the near future, it's probably going to be via the U.S. Junior Championship, or maybe the U.S. Open, like one of those two qualifiers, just because it seems like that's the easier path right now, just because the rating, it's so high with the number of elite players that we have, especially with Dominguez now also joining the party, and Sevian getting stronger, and Zhang going up as well. So it seems to me like that's the easier path. Is that something you think about when you're thinking about playing the U.S. Junior Championship?
Yeah, definitely. Because once you get something, you just want to challenge yourself further. So I'll definitely consider that in the future. Like if I play the U.S. Open or U.S. Junior, if I play in any of those tournaments, I'm just trying to give it my all, work really hard, to try to get that qualification, because it's just so strong now. Like just the opportunity of playing that would be amazing.
Yeah,
play that tournament.
Like it's an end in and of itself, but then also, of course, any tournament you play in, you want to win, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, you keep so busy between your social life, your chess, and your academics. Is there anything else about you that people would be surprised to know, like other hobbies or things that you outside these three things?
Yeah, I like to do. My parents used to say that like I do too much, because I just like to. I have so many different interests, but it's like impossible to do everything. I mean, it's just physically impossible to do everything and still try to like improve or be good at one, especially one that's like chess, that's so complicated and it takes so much time. But I like to run. Like after school, I always run, and then sometimes I like to play the piano, because I used to play the piano a lot when I was younger. But as I got into high school, I didn't really have as much time. But I also have like really like interesting random hobbies I just pick up and then I get obsessed with for a few weeks and I just like give up. Because I mean, not give up entirely, but like I used to for a little while. I got really obsessed with magic tricks with like cards.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, yeah, it was like the most random thing about like YouTube card tutorials all day and then figure out sleight of hand tricks. But I mean, it took a bit of time, and then I mean, I actually brought my pack of cards to U.S. championships. I mean, I didn't really do any magic tricks, but it's just I have to carry them around everywhere I go now. But yeah.
What any other examples of weird hobbies?
Like I used to not know how to whistle, so it took me a long time. I actually figured this out at I think in St. Louis a couple of years ago, but I learned how to whistle there. I don't know why, but it was something I was really proud of, actually.
Oh man, I have a confession to make. I can't whistle, so I'm really embarrassed now.
I mean, I felt like it was something I had to do because I used to play the flute, and then I felt like it was embarrassing if a flute player didn't know how to whistle.
Gosh, that's so many things. And by the way, about the running, we interviewed Hikaru Nakamura, or maybe it was like in his post-victory dinner, but he mentioned that when he went to the gym, you were the only person that he usually saw. So I mean, I assume you were running on the treadmill?
Yeah, I went to the gym, I think, every single day at the U.S. Championship. Yeah, every single day, actually. I was pretty good without skipping any this year because, I mean, it just helps you, like, relieve stress. And I don't know, it keeps you in shape, and it's just great. I mean, it doesn't take too long either. It's like 30 minutes to an hour around that time.
Wow. Well, apparently it worked out well for you and Hikaru, so...
Yeah,
could just be a coincidence, but it's definitely a sign that it's good to get in there and work out. Well, thank you so much, Jen, and let us know where. I mean, I mentioned earlier that you've got this new Instagram handle, Jennifer U Chess. Any other way that people can follow you, your next tournament, perhaps, or if somebody wants to get in touch with you about a Grandmaster Invitational that you might want to play in? Probably
my Instagram handle, Jennifer U Chess. In the future, I want to make a Twitch channel because that's like the big thing now. I think everyone wants to stream, and I've been really interested in doing that for a while. So once I'm like figured school out and all that, I like probably let people know on my Instagram account. But yeah, that's something I'm interested in. Well, yeah, and you actually did some U.S. chess. You did Twitch for U.S. chess at the Grade National, so you did some broadcasting there. So when you start your Twitch channel, are you going to be doing blitz and tactics, things like that? Yeah, probably. I haven't played too much like bullet, that kind of stuff in my life, so that'll also be interesting to try because I haven't done much of that. But yeah, probably a lot of blitz, a lot of tactics, and that kind of genre. Well, that's awesome, and I am sure there are going to be a lot of people listening to this who will be very excited to hear that because you know, you have so many new fans now. Lots of girls, boys, everyone, people of all ages are really getting excited about your win. So they'll be really excited about the opportunity to kind of interact with you and see you play more. I always forget that, like, when you're streaming, there's someone else. There's people playing. Like, I'm not just playing myself. So I always think I'm streaming. Like, you're just talking. Like, yeah, but it'd be really fun to have people challenge you and all that. Yeah, and my first guest on this Ladies Night podcast was actually Alexandra Botes, and she's, of course, an incredible streamer, really well known, and just really good at it. So, you know, you understand from talking to her that there's two goals. It's one, to play well and to flag people and beat them, but it's also to entertain. And if she has to give up a little bit of, you know, equity or once in a while lose a game because she's entertaining her fans and being interesting and funny, she does it. And I think that's really cool because it's just what people really want to see, right? Actually, I almost forgot, but like a couple of years ago, as one of the girls who I looked up to, a few years ago when I played the Susan Palger Invitational, I think I was like 11 at the time, Alexandra Botes was actually there, and I thought she was so cool. I was just like, when I grow up, I want to be like her. So that was just one of the girls that I looked up to that I didn't mention. But yeah, it just, I mean, they probably have no idea, but that they made like an impact. But yeah. Well, that's nice that you're singling them out now, though, because now they will. So Alexandra, Alice, Anna, wow, lots of names that start with A. Probably a lot more people that I just can't think of right now because there's a ton.
Well, there's also your friends, right? And it seems like you and Annie, Emily, Maggie, and I'm forgetting somebody. Carissa. Seems like you guys are really good friends, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything from one of those girls that you really learned a lot from?
I think that us being friends and also being competitors at the same time has just helped us improve. Not because like we were helping each other, but just because of the competitiveness. Because it's kind of like sibling rivalry. So if one of us do good, we're just like, oh, like we support them, but we also want to do good too. So then we all like slowly just get better and better. Like if you look at the rating progresses through the years, I think a lot of it has to do with that because we're all great friends, but we kind of keep each other in line.
Totally think that's true. I mean, that's one of the reasons, like, I think girls in women's chess, it's so important for it to rise together because even though women can play just as well as men, especially at the young ages, girls and women end up becoming, well, girls usually like to be friends with each other because they can like share hotel rooms together. And there's just certain circumstances where it makes more sense for girls to travel together.
Mm-hmm.
So it really makes a lot of sense for you to rise together. That kind of happened with me and Irina Crush, actually. And I never got to her rating, but I was able to, I think, get a lot better because I knew that she was going to be in the tournaments that I was trying to win.
I also think that's like why in the last couple of years the strength of women have just gone, like especially girls have just gone higher and higher, especially like the junior girls, I think, in the last few years. Because I mean, I think in like the first year I played U.S. junior girls, and from last year there's just been a significant rating increase. So that's like probably a huge reason why.
I think that is going to continue, and partly because of you and the work that you're doing, and we're trying to continue to push that forward with all the programs and initiatives at U.S. Chess Women. We got a 100K grant recently in partnership with the St. Louis Chess Club, and then there's all these new tournaments like the Karen's Cup that we're continuing to be so excited about. And yeah, I really am just thankful that people like you are part of this great movement to get more girls and women in the game. I know a lot of people are rooting for you to stick with chess for a long time because you are so talented. But I mean, for me personally, I also hope that, but I also see that, you know, whatever field you're in, you're going to really put your best effort into it. So it's going to be fun to follow you, whatever road you take.
Yeah, thank you. No matter what I do, like throughout college and stuff, I'm definitely going to continue with chess because it's been part of my life for so long. I just can't comprehend just completely leaving it.
That, I think, is the best news for everybody listening to the podcast of all. So let's leave it at that. And of course, once your Twitch channel is ready, we'll put it in the description or we'll make sure everybody knows about it. So thank you so much. This Jennifer Yu, Ladies Night guest, our U.S. Women's Champion. It's been really wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
If you like this episode of Ladies Night, be sure to check out all of our podcasts at US Chess, including Cover Stories with Chess Life and One Move at a Time. You can find all archived podcast episodes on the tag podcasts in our US Chess news section. And if listening to this motivates you to make a donation to US Chess Women and our initiative to bring more girls and women into the game, no amount is too small or too large. So please consider making a donation on our website. Thank you very much.
Now according to Stockfish, I got it all wrong. After slightly advantage, I had nothing but my dear Capablanca. You tell me we'll learn more from our defeats. Who needs victory